Hey everybody, welcome to Pop Culture Philosophers. I'm Rockin Robbie Billups, and it's time for the weekly Pop Culture Wrap-Up, San Diego edition. That's right, everybody. Welcome to Pop Culture Philosophers. I am Rockin Robbie Billups. Thanks for watching the video. This is the weekly pop culture wrap-up, and today we're going to be talking about the San Diego Comic-Con announcements. Comic-Con's like the biggest nerd event of the year. We got tons of media announcements, tons of comic book announcements, tons of trailers released. So let's get right into it, starting off with some X-Men news. We got Jonathan Hickman coming on this next Wednesday with House of X, and then following Wednesday with Powers of 10, right? So both of these 6-issue miniseries promise to set the bar and the standard for the X-Men books to come. Well, what are the X books to come? They were announced this weekend at Comic-Con. Let's get right into it. The Marauders. First of all, coming from Gary Duggan with Matteo Loli on the artwork. So the Marauders is going to be Pyro, Iceman, Storm, Bishop, Emma Frost, and Kitty Pryde. So out of all of these announcements, and apparently Jonathan Hickman picked the creative teams, or helped pick the creative teams. He helped set up the idea for the series and all that kind of stuff. These are some really off-the-wall announcements, some really interesting teams. So that's the first one, Marauders, right there. So Excalibur's the second one by Teenie Howard and Marcus Toe. The team is going to be Rogue, Gambit, Richter, Jubilee, Psylocke, which is actually Captain Britain. So Betsy Braddock is now Captain Britain, and Apocalypse. That's off-the-wall random. It's almost reminiscent of the last year's announcement about Justice League Odyssey featuring Darkseid, so it's going to be very interesting to see how Apocalypse plays there. X-Force is going to be by Ben Percy and Joshua Cassara. This book's going to feature Wolverine, Marvel Girl, that's Jean Grey back in her Marvel Girl garb, Domino, Beast, Kid Omega, Sage, Colossus, and Black Tom Cassidy. Once again, what an interesting team. How is this all going to play out? I guess we're just going to have to check out House of X and Powers of 10. Fallen Angels is going to be by Brian Hill and Szymon Kudranski. This one's going to focus on X-23, Cable, and it does look like Kid Cable, and Psylocke, but not the Betsy Psylocke. So maybe the split, I don't know. It's confusing. Let's see what happens, right? Fallen Angels, that's what that one is. New Mutants. This is going to be, the first arc is going to be written by Jonathan Hickman. Ed Brisson's going to be writing all the rest of them. Rod Reese on the artwork there. This team's going to have Magic, Sunspot, Cypher, Mirage, Karma, Wolfsbane, Chamber, and Mondo. So already we got some of the more recently deceased X-Men from that Matthew Rosenberg line already brought back. Hickman doesn't care about what happened before. He's setting up something new. Speaking of Hickman, he is writing the ongoing X-Men book with Lionel Francis Yu on the artwork. This is going to mostly focus on pretty much everybody but the core X team like Cyclops, Jean, Corsair, Rachel, Havoc, Hope, Vulcan, basically the Summers family, and Wolverine. So this is where it all kind of centers around, right? So this is the nexus, the crux of the X books. There's a second wave already announced, or they've already announced that they're in the works for the second wave. We got books by Vita Ayala. We got books by Leah Williams. So I'm really excited to see what's going to happen. Hickman is, they hired Hickman to get people back into the X books, and they have worked. It's worked. I am so pumped for Hickman on the X-Men. Some of these creative teams, they're interesting enough. Some decent talent on there. The teams themselves, the characters that are in the book, really interesting. Really interesting to see how this is going to unfold. All these books start in October, and like I said, they already got a second wave in the works. Really excited for some of these up-and-coming creators, some of this new, fresh talent coming in, and Hickman kind of being like the ringleader of the whole thing. Very excited about that. What other Marvel comic book news do we have? Well, does Annihilation return, or was Annihilation only the beginning? So we got a little teaser that Annihilation, the big cosmic event by Dan Abnett and Andy Lanning back in the day, really centered around Annihilus, a Fantastic Four villain, all that stuff, that Annihilation was only the beginning, right? And I think Donny Cates is definitely involved in all this. I'm daring to say that Donny Cates is telling a very overarching cosmic story between Venom and Guardians of the Galaxy and Silver Surfer Black. That's the connection right there. And I think we're going to get an explosive cosmic event coming from Donny Cates very, very soon. The Return of 2099 by Nick Spencer. So recently, an issue in an issue of Amazing Spider-Man, Nick Spencer, at the very tail end, teased the return of Spider-Man 2099. That's Miguel O'Hara, right? So Nick Spencer is spearheading this idea about 2099, bringing it back. Marvel is celebrating their 80th anniversary. If you forecast 80 years in the future, it just so happens to be 2099. Kind of too perfect not to take advantage of that, right? So I'm excited for that, right? Doctor Doom 2099. That was my favorite 2099 title. Speaking of Doctor Doom, he's got his own ongoing series coming out, written by Chris Cantwell, who is the writer of She Could Fly. More on that later, with artwork by Salvador Larroca. Very excited for this because I love Victor, I love Doctor Doom. You guys know I'm a huge Fantastic Four fan, so sure, why not give Victor the spotlight yet again? I'm interested to see what's going to happen, especially from the creator of She Could Fly. The Amazing Mary Jane is going to be spinning out of events of recent issues of Amazing Spider-Man, but Mary Jane finally has her own ongoing solo title, The Amazing Mary Jane, so be on the lookout for that. Ghost Rider is back. Ed Brisson, Aaron Kuder, they are going to be relaunching Ghost Rider in a series of one-shot. There's a one-shot, then there's an ongoing series, right? Like Beware the Ghost Rider, something like that. It's going to focus on Danny Ketch and on Johnny Blaze. We know that Johnny Blaze right now is the king of hell, and there is an upcoming one-shot event type thing starting for Marvel in December at the end of Absolute Carnage. We don't know what it is. At San Diego, they showed off like a flaming skull reminiscent of something like Hellboy. I think it's going to be a war for the throne of hell. So I think Ghost Rider is about to get some proper recognition and respect in the Marvel comic book universe, we should say. Red Death is going to be a one-shot focusing in on some of the Red Goblin's exploits, untold Red Goblin exploits. Norman Osborn isn't getting the Carnage symbiote again or anything like that, but this is going to be a one-shot that throws the curtain on some of the untold elements of that story. Norman Osborn with the Carnage symbiote as the Red Goblin. That's a Red Death one-shot out this week. Out this year, I should say, in October or so. Marvel Zombies Respawn is a one-shot coming out in October by Philip Kennedy Johnson. It's going to be bringing back the Marvel Zombies universe. It's going to lead into a mini-series in 2020, so be on the lookout for that. Spider-Verse returns from writer Jed MacKay in a 6-issue mini-series. Lots of people are excited for that. Can't believe they haven't done it yet with the success of the Into the Spider-Verse movie, for sure. A couple Star Wars books we want to talk about. There's going to be a Rise of Skywalker prequel. I can't remember the name of it. Awakening, something like that. It's going to be written by Ethan Sachs, but more excitingly, I'm more excited for Rise of Kylo Ren, which is written by Charles Soule, but it's going to tell the story of the rise of Kylo Ren, and that's super exciting for me. DC is one not to be left out. They don't have a whole bunch of announcements at Comic-Con, but one big thing that happened right before Comic-Con was this, the confirmation of a rumor that was mentioned here on the Weekly Pop Culture Wrap-Up months ago. Definitely check it out if you don't believe me. Warren Ellis, Brian Hitch, going to be doing a Batman book, a 12-issue Batman series called The Batman's Grave. Ellis and Hitch, the team behind the original The Authority. Very excited for this. You guys know I'm a Warren Ellis fan. I'm a Brian Hitch fan. He's been pumping out some really great work recently on Hawkman. Very excited to see what Ellis and Hitch bring to this 12-issue Batman series. Year of the Villain heats up in November with Hostile Takeover, which is going to have a whole bunch of acetate covers. That's really cool. Like acetate covers, like the original Marvels book, right? Speaking of Marvels, do you know Comics Revisited Season 2 is coming on August 1st with the first episode all about Marvels? Be on the lookout for that. Really excited about variant covers and things like this. Every time DC does like 3D covers or something like that, these recent cardstock Year of the Villain covers, they were slightly disappointing to me. Acetate covers, they just sold me. Over at Image, we got Undiscovered Country. It's by Charles Soule and Scott Snyder. Giuseppe Camuncoli on the artwork there. So we've been teased this before by Snyder and Soule. They're working on a creator-owned project. It's the Undiscovered Country. The idea is that America does wall itself off from the rest of the world, and now here we come years later, the rest of the world is now discovering America for the first time. Really interesting concept, really interesting to see what these two creators are going to do. Stranger Things has a new graphic novel coming out this fall/winter called Zombie Boys. It's written by Greg Pak, and it fits right between Stranger Things Season 1 and Stranger Things Season 2. This is exactly what I think the Stranger Things comic universe needs to do. The first series they gave us was The Other Side or whatever. It was Will's Experience and the Upside Down. That seemed like it was just retreading some ground. The most recent miniseries, about 6, telling us one of the other subjects of the of the testing by the American government. That's interesting, and this is interesting how it fits between the two seasons. I really like that idea. They need to do more of that. The Eisners were announced this week. Couple spotlights. Best writer went to Tom King. Best artist went to Mitch Gerrits. Best limited series went to Mr. Miracle. Mr. Miracle is why Tom King and Mitch Gerrits won. Again, right? Absolutely, okay? Gideon Falls won for best new series. That's awesome. Gideon Falls was the best book of last year, so it's nice to see it get some recognition. Jen Bartel won for best cover artist. Spectacular Spider-Man and Chip Zdarsky, number 310. So Chip Zdarsky, number 310, I should say. Not really. Anyways, Spectacular Spider-Man 310 won for best single issue. That was Chip Zdarsky. Had a really great acceptance speech. It was really, really fun. And panel by panel and back issue tied for best comic book journalistic publication, or whatever the hell they want to call it, right? So there you go. Some really cool Eisners. There are a whole bunch more winners. Look it up. Let me know what you think. Let's talk about some of these trailers, because San Diego Comic-Con is a big deal for trailers, right? First of all, let's talk about that Cats trailer. I am a big musical fan. I have never really gotten into Cats. I'm excited to see Cats get done as a film. Watching the trailer, most people are really creeped out by this film. It's kind of got an uncanny valley type thing going on with the motion capture, the CG with a real live performance. I don't know. Me and Brooks have already decided we'll watch it. We'll check it out. We'll do a movie review. But yeah, it is pretty scary. The new Watchmen trailer. Yeah, Watchmen, the new TV series on HBO. So we got a new full trailer, which actually looks like a really cool, interesting story, something I'd be really into checking out, but the fact that it's tied into the Watchmen almost makes you like, what is going on? It's obviously a sequel, but they call it a remix. I don't know. It seems like it's got some interesting themes. It's almost interesting enough to just go ahead and say, I'm going to watch it and see what happens. But the end of that trailer, with the return of a certain, Mr. Blue was pretty cool. Star Trek Picard released their first full trailer this week, and as a Star Trek fan, this has been the most excited I've been since DS9 ended. Seriously, I'm serious. Even with the J.J. Abrams movie or Star Trek Discovery, this Star Trek Picard trailer was everything we loved about Star Trek TNG, it seems, brought into a more modern sensibility. And I was crazy for it. You got the return of Data, got the return of 7 of 9, and we also heard that Counselor Troy and Riker, that's right, Troy and Riker coming back, maybe LeVar Burton just around the corner. Yeah, just keep bringing them back. Just tell me a really good story. It looks like the trailer is just fire. Fantastic stuff. It Chapter 2 released its trailer. When I was a kid, I was obsessed with it. I loved the original miniseries. I was a little disappointed with It Chapter 1 last year. Just a little bit disappointed. I definitely need to rewatch it again, and we're going to be doing that for a movie review as we approach It Chapter 2. The It Chapter 2 trailer, yeah, it's creepy, but it's just like, is it showing me too much? Do I want it to be more subtle? But it is very effective in that very, very end with Pennywise, the very end of the trailer. Wow, right? Top Gun Maverick. I'll mention it. Top Gun Maverick's new Top Gun movie. I didn't like the original Top Gun. It was one of my dad and my mom's, their favorite movies back in the day. I had to watch it way too many times. I hated it. I watched the trailer. It didn't do anything for me. Just a Tom Cruise jerk fest. I don't know. That's just me. The Witcher trailer was released. I didn't watch it. I forgot to watch it. I had it here on my list, and I didn't watch it, so I don't have anything to say about it. But I've never played the game or read the books. But I hear it looked pretty hype, so let's go ahead and mention that. Jay and Silent Bob Reboot. The trailer released. It looks like if you're a fan of Jay and Silent Bob, of the View Askew universe, you're going to like this. It's going to bring back some fan favorite characters, some old school stuff. Ultimately, the trailer looks alright. I think I'm a little bit... I used to be the biggest Kevin Smith fan, and I'm not talking smack about him. I just feel like I've kind of grown out of some of that stuff. But I'll tell you this, 20-year-old Robbie would have loved that trailer. His Dark Materials, a co-production between BBC and HBO. It's based on the series of books that the movie The Golden Compass was based on, but The Golden Compass never had any more movies. I loved The Golden Compass. I've never read those books. I have heard about those books. I read about those books when that movie Golden Compass came out, and I am super stoked to see this story be told with an amazing cast all the way through. Very excited for that. Shudder's released a Creepshow trailer. That's right, the Creepshow movies back in the day. Stephen King, George Romero, Greg Nicotero is doing a series on Shudder, which is like a streaming horror AMC type service. So basically each episode, it's like a Tales from the Crypt, Outer Limits type thing, but all horror. The trailer looked decent. It looked all right. Looked cool to me. And there was a little tease about Rick and Morty Season 4. Really fun. Very excited for the show to return. It's been a while. But Rick and Morty is one of my favorite shows. It's just not been on for a long time. Very excited for it to return. Taika Waititi is doing Thor 4. That was officially announced. That's very, very exciting. As I'm recording this video, Marvel Studios is doing their panel right now at San Diego Comic-Con. So in just a couple hours, you'll see a video here released where I'm talking about all their announcements because they're set up to announce Phase 4, but we do know that Waititi is coming back to write and direct Thor 4. Very excited. Should they call it the Fantastic Thor? That'd be kind of neat. The Halloween sequels have been announced next year and the year after. Halloween Kills and Halloween Ends. Now, I still haven't seen the recent redux, I should say, of Halloween. I hear it's pretty good, but we do know that it's set up to be a trilogy now. We got 2 movies to come. Halloween Kills, Halloween Ends. AMC has picked up She Could Fly. We talked about that a little bit earlier. The writer of She Could Fly, the comic book, is now writing the new Doctor Doom series. But She Could Fly, which is a Dark Horse comic book, which a lot of people have been in on, and I really liked the first couple issues, but then I kind of fell out of it, been trade waiting it, but it's been picked up for a TV series in AMC, so speculators go hunt those back issue bins right now. And finally, let's talk about this. Crisis on Infinite Earths. I am so far out of the Arrowverse, I don't even care. But the CW shows have finally built up to Crisis on Infinite Earths. We saw the trailer. It's neat. It's got Psycho Pirate at the end, but we also know that Brandon Routh is reprising his role of Superman, and Burt Ward's going to be in it as well. So it seems like they're going to get as many people as you can. Expect a Dean Cain announcement soon, right? As many people as they can find from previous TV shows and maybe movies of DC properties and bring them together to do one big crisis event, like a live-action Crisis. I just don't feel like the Arrowverse is going to be able to give Crisis what it needs. But I haven't been watching those shows for a while. But that's kind of neat, kind of cool, right? I love Crisis, the comic book, for sure. So that's what we got for you right now. Like I said, in a couple hours, you'll be seeing a new video where I'm talking about MCU Phase 4. The announcements are going on right now as I speak, as I'm recording this, but not as you're watching this. They've already happened. Anyway, let me know any of your comments, any of your thoughts about all the news from San Diego this week. Let us know in the comments down below. What do we got coming up here at PCP? Well, tonight, we're doing a live stream at 7 o'clock U.S. Central Time. Be here to chat with me about this upcoming week's new comic books like House of X #1 and others. And we'll also be talking about all this exciting news from San Diego Comic-Con, talking about the trailers, talking about the new books, talking about the X-Men, all that stuff and more tonight, 7 o'clock U.S. Central Time on Robbie Rants Live. So thank you so much for checking out the video. Please do like, share, and subscribe, and join us over at popculturephilosophers.com for podcasts and a whole lot more. I've been Rockin Robbie Billups. Thanks for rocking with us. Keep on Comic-Con.